station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. You know, many small business owners have a hard time maintaining the energy and the passion for their business, and a lot of it is because they burn themselves out doing stuff that they probably don't need to be doing. Today's guest is going to show us how to make our lives a lot easier and how to grow your business without blowing yourself up or burning yourself out. Her name is Casey Rossi, and she is a transformative business coach. She has over 25 years of direct experience in the business world, ranging from everything from gourmet foods to aromatherapy to business coaching for solopreneurs. She is passionate about business without burnout and incorporates a holistic approach, which is really cool. And I love this because she guides clients on how to grow their business while keeping an eye on their body, their mind, and their spirit. Very, very important. So Casey Rossi, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you so much, Ralph. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you and to learn more about how you help make our lives easier as rebelpreneurs, solopreneurs. How did you get started in this area of transformative business coach?
Well, it's interesting. I have always loved being in business. I mean, even when I was a young teen, I was known as the town nanny and had a booked calendar. At 19, started my first corporation with my best friend. And after about 9 attempts at other various businesses, our 10th one kind of skyrocketed, and we ran an international confections company for 18 years. And so from there, what I really noticed after we sold that company in 2011, I saw that there were so many solopreneurs, maybe new to the business world or even established, but they were really set in kind of old school ways and just kind of doing the same thing that they always did. They were ready to kind of embrace like digital world and needed some clear guidance. So that's when I really decided to focus my energy more in this transformative business coaching space. So we're not just kind of plugging into our day-to-day without being really mindful. And so it's a really great way to embrace the online world and also kind of keep our sanity in the process.
Very good. Now, you said that you went through 9 businesses before you found the 10th one that worked for you. Is that right?
Yeah, it is actually. My bestie and I, who is also an entrepreneur at heart, we did everything from exterior house painting to wildlife t-shirts, beeswax candles, fine art, festival concessions, and literally we had 9 businesses. I kind of joked around with her, if the 10th one doesn't work, I'm going to go mainstream. And luckily the 10th one did.
That's so encouraging because I think a lot of people, they take for granted that it's easier to start your own business than it is to work for someone else. And then they get into it and they become disillusioned. They become frustrated. They become overwhelmed. So your story, and believe me, my story is very similar, except I probably went through 20 businesses before I found one that worked and still trying to make it work. It's not like I've suddenly arrived at the top of the mountain, but we're always learning and growing and evolving. Our purpose evolves as our business evolves. And so it's really encouraging to know that all of us are there and we're all together on this journey of transformation. Tell us a little bit more about,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the type of person that you get the best results for and who do you work with and who do you help?
Basically, the solopreneur that knows that they have something more to give their audience, but they're kind of unsure on how to do it. They want to reach more people, but they're afraid of tech. So it's a whole kind of new language out there for them, and they really end up becoming stuck and overwhelmed because it's not something that we're really trained. They may be new to business or they may be in business for a while, but like with my confection company, that was very brick and mortar and very old school, and it's such a new world out there right now. So I really tend to have those people gravitate towards me, someone that needs the tech broken down and someone that really says like, hey, I really want another avenue. How can I reach more people? I want to grow my business, but I am so unclear on web presence and learning management systems and any other offering that may be out there for me to take advantage of, but I'm just overwhelmed by it all.
And, I think part of that sense of overwhelm is fueled by online marketers who have 1,000 different tools in their toolbox. Right?
It's so true. It's so true. Definitely. You really need a glossary when you're new to this. Even the language is different. It's kind of like, being expected to play a concerto, but you don't even know the notes yet. So the language is so different in the online world for people. And so when you start talking about opt-in and conversion rates and nurture sequences, people's eyes just glaze right over and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it's really helpful to kind of go back to square one and just break it down in a very simple way. And that's possible. But I think when people are very used to DIYing everything and going to Google to find the answer, as so many of new business owners or even established business owners do, it can become extremely overwhelming.
That really makes a lot of sense, and I can see how it would be helpful for someone like you to be able to show people here's what's important and what you should pay attention to, and here's what doesn't really matter, and you don't really need to spend a lot of time here, because if you listen and you watch what other people do online, especially the ones that are trying to sell you the latest tool or the latest technique, you'll begin to believe that you can't possibly be successful without that subscription or without that tool or without that program. And what you're saying is that we get overwhelmed doing a lot of things that are not necessarily important or even necessary in our business.
For sure. And Ralph, that's such a good point that you brought up, because one of the things that I see with all of the different blueprints and step-by-step guides and strategies, that you really become convinced that if you don't do it that way, then you're not going to be successful. That kind of approach immediately sets somebody up to kind of have a nervousness if that's not who they are. I tend to have people that are kind of introverted gravitate to my style. And, for someone that's introverted, it's really overwhelming and kind of like scary to be like, what do you mean I have to do like a Facebook Live every day or get out there and be this big kind of standout persona? That's not who I am. So what I find is just allowing the business owner permission to be able to craft their business in a way that's going to work for them, that feels like so in alignment to who they are. And that helps eliminate a lot of fear and frustration. And you just start to see their shoulders kind of go down and ease, like, really? I can actually do that? Like, I don't have to do it this way or I'm going to fail. So that's just so empowering. I love to see that deep breath aha moment where they're like, oh, wow, I actually can be creative and craft it in a way that is going to feel so good and exciting to get up on a Monday versus like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, and if it's something that is not really you, and if it doesn't flow with who you are and what your strengths are, if it's just a copycat approach or a blueprinted approach that someone else created that you're trying to adapt, it's not going to be authentic, but it's also not going to be very inspiring to you when things get tough. And if it feels like work, then human nature is such that we're not going to really extend ourselves and work. And that's where a lot of this burnout comes from, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It has to be authentic 100%, not only for your longevity, but also to attract people to you, because especially in such a noisy digital space, authenticity now I find is kind of the number one way to have that inbound marketing where people are coming to you and you don't have to necessarily rush out in a very salesy way. So I think authenticity is just key for many reasons, like you mentioned.
What would you say is the biggest problem that you see coming up over and over again? We've talked about tech overwhelm and burnout, but what is the biggest problem that most people you work with seem to keep bumping into over and over again?
Sure. A common problem that I see with solopreneurs is being able to organize all of their wonderful big ideas into a viable online business offering.
Man, that's my problem. You nailed my problem.
So many people. It really is. And it's all there. Like, they have years of experience and wisdom, it's just being able to distill it, so they've done all the hard work. That's what I try to tell them. You've done all the hard work, like organizing it and delivering it is the fun part,
Yeah. Well, that really hits the nail on the head. That was my struggle for many years. And the more I began to work with people in strategic marketing and coaching and consulting, the more I realized there's lots of brilliant people in the world, myself included, and we've got all kinds of great ideas. But until we learn how to package and promote those ideas into something that is viable and actionable, those frameworks, no matter how great they are, they're just puffs of clouds. They're just amorphous ideas, and we can't make them actionable. We can't implement them unless we make them simple and practical and package them in a way that we have something to sell. That's how you turn ideas into income.
Absolutely.
So how can someone, and I'm taking notes now, so that this needs to be really good. What can someone with all of these ideas, but who gets overwhelmed, or maybe they hide behind "I'm getting ready to"? We joke about entrepreneurs being wannapreneurs or gonapreneurs, and they never actually get around to actually doing the thing that they want to do because, well, first I've got to pick my WordPress theme, and then I've got to find a shopping cart provider, and then I've got to enroll in this and that and get this and that, and they're always getting ready to get ready. But like you said, and I really like this, you've already done all of the hard work. You've got the experience, you've got the idea, you've got everything all in your head. But how can someone begin to take steps to make this a reality and stop playing around and stop with the wannapreneur, gonapreneur, but actually take the leap and do it? What can they begin to do right now to start seeing some progress in their business and in their life?
Yeah, that's a great question. I truly feel that everyone has a course or two inside of them. So for anyone considering establishing like their first online course or a membership site offering, I recommend that they get clear on a few things. So the first one is who their ideal audience is. Because as they say, when we're speaking to everyone, we're really speaking to no one. So once they refine who would best be served with what they offer, it's so much easier to create and market with that group in mind. So really like having that one person right across from them for whatever they're putting together, any kind of copy that they're putting together, they're really just focused on that one person. So once they have that really, really fleshed out, the second thing would be to brainstorm their unique strength, like their secret sauce. What makes what they do so special? Really getting clear on the problems that they solve and approaching from that perspective puts them in the right mindset of providing like concrete results from the product that they're going to create. So really kind of what I recommend is right when they're making their course and their title or their membership, putting that straight down, so specific. This is the problem that I solved. This is who I'm communicating with. Like, this is how I want to show up when I'm delivering this piece of content or product or membership site. Once they have that in place, number 3 would be just, I'm a big old-fashioned pen and paper gal. I'm online all the time, but I think there's some kind of power with actually putting pen to paper,
I
is
agree.
to start jotting down. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge journaler, but I do think when we're crafting something, there's something about construction and there's something about taking a white piece of paper and creating something from nothing. I absolutely love that. That's still to this day one of my big motivators for being in business. So taking that old-fashioned pen to paper and jotting down their course outline or their membership framework. You can just capture the overview at first, just some of the main points, but it establishes a jumping point. It gives us some boundaries where we can then fill the grid in. So that's a really powerful way to kind of get started and start brain dumping, getting all of their ideas out of their head. And then lastly, kind of committing to a deadline, a date where they'd really like to complete the project and launch it to their audience. I find it's really important to have some sort of map and accountability to really get going. And like you said, kind of get from being a wannapreneur to the solopreneur and actually making it happen and believing in yourself. I think that's such a huge thing. I think mindset is so important. That should actually be number one in my little steps there, because if you don't have that confidence and mindset that you are valuable, you know enough right now, you don't need another course, and what you say definitely has value. Once you kind of stand in that power, it makes all the other tasks on the to-do list so much more fluid and easy to step into and to accomplish.
That is so practical, and everything you're saying is exactly what I would tell somebody, and that's why I agree with it, because that is exactly what I think is going to help with the mindset. A lot of people will take the positive affirmation approach that I'm going to improve my mindset by self-talk and trying to convince myself of something that hasn't happened. But a great way to improve your mindset is to start ticking off some of these boxes that Casey is talking about. Come up with who is your ideal audience, what is the secret sauce, the unique selling proposition, the problems and results that you're going to address for that audience, and then begin to put some ideas down on paper and get it out of your head. Once you begin to take those small steps, you'll notice that your mindset begins to shift away from the unproductive thoughts that I don't know if I'm capable, I don't know if I have it. You can shift that just by doing these steps and to a mindset that says, this is actually possible. I really can do this.
Absolutely. And you're seeing the proof from your action steps. And so that is the fuel to keep the momentum alive, because you're proving it to yourself with every step you're crossing off the list.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. That's some good practical information there. Now,
awesome.
What I tell people is that the biggest drawback or the biggest challenge to self-help is the fact that you have to help yourself.
That's for sure.
So self-help is great, but self-help is also the biggest challenge. And so how would working with someone like you, who is a transformative business coach, how would that really greatly improve their chances for success and maybe eliminate a lot of the mistakes that could potentially be on the path of self-help? How could you help them to get where they want to be faster?
For sure, definitely. I think keeping things in perspective, having that outside viewpoint that is very practical and clear, because many times when we're in our own quagmire, it's very difficult to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, because we can really get in this kind of mind stuff. And when we're so entrenched in our story, it's really helpful to have someone say, actually, we could do it this way, or, having a very clear perspective. I have clients that just feel like the project is insurmountable. And it's like, actually, if we just break it down like this, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I guess it's not as big as I thought. So getting that outside perspective, I think, is really valuable. The other thing I think with working with a business coach is it helps to stay accountable. Many times if we're just left to our own self, life happens and our schedule gets filled up and the days just kind of run away from us at times. So having somebody stay accountable and really kind of one step ahead of us and showing, hey, this would be your most optimal use of time over here. This is the next step to get to our launch date right here. That's really a valuable thing as well. So, and I think too, the emotional support, because when we're creating something, especially as a solopreneur, we're putting ourselves out there. We're putting our whole heart into our project. And so that's emotional. And I think having somebody that understands that and they know what you're going through and they can help you navigate, ways to be okay with that and to move through it and feel the fear or feel that anxiety and really give yourself permission to look at yourself in a holistic way. We're not robotic and we don't want our offerings to come off like that. So taking that time and setting boundaries and doing little tips and tricks that can give ourselves permission to say, turn the computer off at 7:00 or have a no tech Sunday, where we're just shutting the box down and replenishing our own batteries, like other ways that we can have self-care that's integrated on a daily basis into our business. So it's not on and off. It's not like black and white self in your 9 to 5, and then you get to live in color over here when you're off hours. That's a big part of what I love to bring into my work is integrating that authentic self throughout. So we're feeling kind of as most as we can in that balanced state 7 days a week without having to be an on-off switch.
I really like that. And I love that holistic approach of keeping an eye on your body, your mind, and your spirit, as well as your business, because if you're not working well, your business is not going to work well either. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. I mean, we bring ourselves to whatever we do. And so, we have to be healthy. And also, people can feel that energy, so when you are balanced and excited and kind of tapped into what you do, people feel it and they really want to be a part of that. So many times we'll be chatting with a client and we go through kind of like a sales journey. It's like, are they really buying your product and commodity or are they buying that feeling, the feeling that you're delivering in the end, So in order for that feeling to transfer, you have to feel that yourself and be healthy in your own way, just all of that. So it's a little bit of pressure, but it's also exciting, it's also exciting. So it's a practice. I think, you brought up self-care and how we're all working through that. It's not a one and done. It's something that's a daily practice, and some days we nail it and other days we don't. And that's okay because we get a new chance. Tomorrow is a new opportunity, I think, to practice all over again.
Exactly right. Yeah, you probably can't hit all the bases or check all the boxes off every single day, but there's always tomorrow. And as long as you keep that perspective, then I think you can keep moving forward and maintaining that holistic balance and not get too far out of shape in one area. So that is critically important. Casey, you have got a lot of programs and things that you already have out there. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right now I'm putting together a Setup for Success online course bundle. I'm carving out some time from helping my clients build learning management systems and creating one of my own. So a little bit of practice what you preach. Mm-hmm. And so the bundle's going to have 3 digital courses. One is going to be Rock Your Results Through Goal Setting. And then how mindset can make or break your business. So a little bit we touched on today. And then business development without burnout. So kind of a guide to help people even see and recognize burnout before it even happens. And also what do you do if you're in business and already burned out? So I've developed a course to kind of go through that process. So yeah, I'm really excited. That's what I've got in the pipeline. I'm excited to provide people with tools that can establish a real solid foundation so they can grow their online business.
That's awesome and so needed and so important, especially in the hustle and bustle of today's world. So that is awesome. How can our listeners get in touch and find out more about you and your services?
Yep, people can get in touch with me by going to kcrossi.com.
Perfect. And that's
And it's just initials. Yep.
kcrossi.com.
You got it, Ralph. Yeah.
Well, this has been really awesome and inspirational. I'm curious if you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners as we wrap things up.
Absolutely. I would say my final thoughts, say maybe on a big idea, is not to overthink things too much. Of course, research, be prepared, put your best efforts in, but then most importantly, take decisive action. As even small steps, as you know, when done consistently over time, will result in huge progress forward. So to me, that's probably one of the biggest takeaways is keep the full cycle going of learning and then implementing just to ensure that momentum and success.
Awesome. Words to live by from Casey Rossi. She is a transformative business coach with over 25 years of direct experience in the business world. She can help you to grow your business while keeping an eye on your body, mind, and spirit. Find out more at kcrossi.com. It has been a real pleasure to have you on the show today, Casey. I really appreciate it.
I loved it, Ralph. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.